Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Eddie Jennings from EJSLLC.com. This video is going to be another in my RHCE practice session series where I'm preparing for the Red Hat Certified Engineer exam. Before I dive in, I want to thank returning subscribers for watching another video, as well as invite everyone, if you're watching and have not subscribed yet, to click that subscribe button and ring the bell when you do so you can be aware when new content comes available. Also, if you enjoy the content of the video or find it useful, make sure you click that like button, as well as share with others who might also find it useful. In this video, I'm going to continue with the Create Ansible Plays and Playbooks objectives, and I will be looking at the Use Conditionals to Control Play Execution. I do want to remind you that this is not necessarily intended to be authoritative information, nor is it intended to be a tutorial. Rather, this is an opportunity for me to talk about an objective and maybe do some examples of it as a self-test to see if I will be ready for exam tasks based on that objective. Ideally, at the end of the videos, I'll think that yes, I'm pretty confident about what's going on. Otherwise, I'll add it to my list of a couple of things I need to shore up my knowledge on between now and the time of the exam, which is in about 3 weeks or so. All that being said, I do intend for the information to be accurate, and if I do make a mistake, feel free to leave a comment. I'm sure that anyone watching the video would appreciate seeing the accurate information, and of course, I would love to see the accurate information as well. So diving right into it, the idea of using conditionals within plays is a way to have tasks that don't run all the time, or rather have tasks that run when a particular, I hate using the word in its own definition, but when a particular condition is met. So let me show you an example of that. I'm going to create a little playbook here, and we're going to call it Conditional Test.yml, and we'll name the play Testing Conditionals. Hosts, we're going to do this on all the hosts. I have added a host, and this host is running Ubuntu. I think 2104 is what I'm having it run rather than Red Hat Enterprise Linux 8. And so what we're going to do here is make a task, and we're going to name this task fire off if a red, I don't like that, execute if system is Red Hat based. That's better. So debug, we're going to do just a message. This is a Red Hat system. And then we're going to use this when keyword. Now, we're going to use a variable from Ansible facts. And since this is when is expecting to receive variables, I don't believe I have to do the two curly braces for denoting a variable. So I'm going to say Ansible facts. And the fact that I'm going to be using is OS family equals. And since we're doing comparing a string, we use the two equals there and Red Hat. We're going to make a similar task here. Execute if system is Debian based and Ubuntu is Debian based. So our debug message, this is a Debian based system, and its when statement is going to be similar. So Ansible facts OS family equals, let me just make sure I spell family right, equals Debian. All right, so let's run our playbook and see what happens. All right, looks like I made a mistake somewhere, so let's see what happens. So it failed on the Debian thing, so you have a lot of blood on the screen. Generally, you're going to have a syntax error somewhere. So let's see if I can find it here. Let's see, so name, that looks good. Debug, that looks good. Message looks okay. When, I misspelled Ansible. That's it. I'm sure those of you watching the video probably caught that immediately when I did it. Okay, so this, come on VI, don't give me problems. So this should work out better. Let's clear our screen. Ansible Playbook, Conditional Test. So it gathers facts for all 5, and this is what I expected to see. So for the task that is execute if system is Red Hat based, notice that it executed for labrel AN01 through 4, because those are all Red Hat Enterprise Linux systems, and it skipped labrel AN05 because that particular fact is not equal to Red Hat. And then likewise for the execute if system is Debian based, this skipping the first 4 of my lab servers, and it will execute for lab server 5 because that's an Ubuntu system. And really, for using conditionals, that's about it. It's a very powerful thing. Let me go back into our conditional test here. not conditional, but conditional. And there are several things that we're able to test with this. We can test more than just equality with this. So let's do something else here. We're going to add to this. Oh no, let's make another playbook. What I'm going to do is create a custom fact. I know that I had some issues with custom facts, I think a couple of videos or so ago, but I've since reviewed that some, and I think I'll be able to do it without having too big of an issue. So I'm first going to make me a template real quick. I'm just going to call it custom fact.j2, and I'm going to call this my custom fact, and we're just going to say foo. I need to do a colon or equals. Well, we're going to find out. I think I just need to do colon. Blah. All right. And so that's what I needed there. We're going to make a little playbook here. And so let's call it deploy fact, not YML. All right. So name, deploy, custom fact. Of course, this isn't necessarily about conditionals, but I figured you might enjoy seeing how one way to deploy a custom fact to something. And we're going to do this server hosts. We're only going to do this on a couple of servers. So lab, I can do comma with that. Lab rel an01, lab rel an02. I'm going to have to become to make this happen. And tasks. So first we're going to make sure that the directory is there. And we'll use the file command and the path. It's etc Ansible. I think it's facts.d is what I need for that. And state present. Then we'll use the template command. I'm going to say deploy the fact or deploy fact file. Template. The source is custom fact.j2, and the destination is going to be etc Ansible facts.d, and we're going to call it custom fact.fact. All right, so this should do what we want here. So let's try to deploy our fact, and we'll see what happens. Oh. Yep, I might need to do that for the, state present. No, I want state, not present. I need state to be directory. All right, so let's try that again. Oh, I'm losing the battle of spelling tonight, clearly. Also losing the battle of tab completion. All right. Let's try it again. So tempting to edit this kind of stuff out, but I'd rather kind of give you the true view of what a practice session is like for me. And you'll be dealing with this kind of stuff on your exam, and you'll probably be tired at some point and making mistakes like this too. All right, so we got the fact file, and this time what I want to do, just do a real quick ad hoc here. We're going to run the setup module. All right, and probably could have done filter to try to find this a little bit easier, but we should have our custom fact here. Just have to find it. Thought it was typically near the bottom, but I guess I was incorrect with that. Where's our custom fact? I know it'll be there, because otherwise it would have complained about the facts. Okay, let's do this. So a filter equals star my star. That is not what I was expecting. I thought my custom fact would work. There it is, my custom fact. I don't know why they didn't find it. Clearly that's something I need to add to my list, is using the filter option within the setup file. But anyway, we have our custom fact, and it'll be, not sure if I think it'll be Ansible local custom fact, my custom fact, foo equals blah. So I'm going to copy that. And now for what we actually intended to do. So we're going to go back to our conditional test, and we're going to make a change here. I'm going to paste what I had, and we're going to call this execute if custom fact exists. So this is going to be a different operator that we have, and what we're going to do is say message here is the custom fact. And we're going to do Ansible facts, then local, then custom fact, then my custom fact, and we'll just leave it at that. That should work. And so we're going to do when this custom fact is defined. So Ansible facts, local, custom fact, my custom fact is defined. We'll get rid of some of this other stuff here. And just because I'm curious, I have my little debug thing. Yeah, VI debug test. I want to try something real quick. I want to see how that actually looks. Figured I might save us a little bit of time here. Yeah, variable is not defined. All right. So maybe I need to say Ansible local instead. So let's try this again. Otherwise, it's probably going to be custom fact is what I'm going to want. Nope, so it is Ansible local. Okay, cool. So let's go back to our conditional test. So I still need to do a little bit more practice with custom facts. Reason why I left out the Ansible part of that, because sometimes the inline variables, you don't actually need the preceding Ansible. Okay, so if this custom fact is defined, which means it exists, then we're going to run our little message here. So let's see what happens. All right, so we deployed that custom fact to labrel AN01 and 2, and we see that it was defined there, and it gave us the value of that, and it skipped for AN03, 4, and 5. So that's well in line with what we were expecting. You can also test against integers and such as well. So let's cat our facts.txt and let's find something that's going to have an integer to it. This will be good. Uptime in seconds. So 13,000. All right, which is probably going to be a little bit less than that. I'm just, yeah, we'll try that. All right, so let's do conditional tests. So that's Ansible facts uptime seconds. So first what I'm going to do without a when statement, because I'm curious to see what this value is going to be for everything. We're just going to see what this is. Ansible facts uptime seconds. That'll make this a little bit easier to work with. Okay, so it looks like all the RHEL systems have been up for at least 3,800 seconds, and the Ubuntu system has not been. All right, so let's do our conditional. I'm just going to stick with the debug for a bit. We're going to say these servers have been up for over 3,000 seconds. And so we'll have when, and we want greater than 3,000. All right, so that is what we expected to have, and then we can look at the less than operator as well, just to where it makes sense. Now we're going to do just equals this time, and I want to show you the difference with integers. Integers, you will do the single equals. So this should skip all of the hosts, because obviously none of these hosts are going to be what? All right, so clearly I made a mistake here. And actually I was going so fast I didn't realize that that logic didn't work out the way that I thought. All right, so one gotcha that I do want to mention is the error messages for conditional statements can be quite annoying. So I got a string. No, that's uptime seconds is not a string. I've dealt with this before. Let's see if I can remember how to actually do the conditional for this. So I'm pretty sure it's just the equal sign, even though it's kind of odd because typically equal is going to be assignment. Maybe it is double equals. I just don't have the quotations around it. Let's try that, because that would make a little bit more sense. Okay, so I was wrong about that. The testing of both strings and integers is going to be equals equals, but we would put the value in quotation marks to denote string. Now, there are times where you can use something called a filter, and I'm not super familiar with filters, but I do know that there's a filter for integers. And an example of when you might use this is, let's take a look at our facts again, and let's find something that looks like a number, but it's actually a string. So there's a couple of examples here, but there's one. All right, let me grep for release, grep for version. That's what I wanted, distribution version, or a distribution major version. Okay, so let's write, let me copy this real quick. I think there's actually some special syntax for version, but I know this is an example of something you can use the filter for. Let's do our conditional test here. And we are going to do this. So let's change the name here. So execute if version is less than 8. All right, so message, you are higher than rel 7. And for the host, we're just going to do lab rel an. I wonder if I can do the syntax for that. I'm going to put that to the test here. That may or may not work. So major distribution version. Now what we have to do, and it's going to look like I'm piping it, but, and I guess I am piping it, but we're piping it to a filter called int, and then we're going to say less than 8. Now you don't have to put this in parentheses. I do sometimes just to make it a little bit more readable for me. And let's see if this works here. Conditional test. Yeah, I didn't figure out the inventory pattern. I was wondering if you could do that or not. I'll have to look that up one day. Let's see. You know, I just thought of something. I could do a complex. No, because, well, let me think. This would work. So we're going to do all. And yeah, we're going to do a little more complex thing here. So I'm going to put this in parentheses. So we're going to test for two things at the same time. So we're going to say and Ansible facts. We're going to say OS family equals Red Hat. Okay, so you can do more complex condition statements with when. And I was actually going to do an example of that, and the opportunity has presented itself. So let's see if this works. All right, so it skipped everything, and I expected that because all these are rel 8 systems, and the AN05 is both going to fail the version 8 part as well as fail the OS family. So let's change this to equals 8. And let's see what happens. Okay, that is what I expected. Now, just to give you an example of what the error would look like, we're going to get rid of the filter, but still compare it for an integer. And let's see what the error looks like. Oh, I know why it skipped was because it's, well, no, that's odd. I expected that to error out with the conditional statement. All right, let's do this. Just make it easy. So when, what was that? Distribution major version, that was it. So Ansible facts distribution major version equals 8. And we're just going to do that as an integer. We'll just run this against labrel an01. I'm surprised that that is not pitching a fit, because I swear I've done some other little labs and such where if I tried to compare that to, if I tried to compare a string to an integer without doing the filter, it would moan and complain. So, let's take a look at our facts again. Perhaps there's something else that I can use for this. All right, let's try user space bits. Sounds like a fun one here. I can remember that, user space bits. So vi conditional, of course the message isn't going to make sense, but that's not the point of what we're testing here. And let's see what happens. Well, that did not give me the results that I was expecting. So let's change this to a string. Now this time it should execute, it shouldn't skip, because it should match the string. Yep. That is strange. Let's see if we still have that other error from way back when. Let's scroll up. Wait, is this it? Yeah. That way, conditional check. Okay, that's when I had misspelled Ansible. All right. Well, that is strange, because I fully expected Ansible to complain when I tried to compare integer to a string, like the integer 8 to string 8. So that's kind of weird. Maybe there's something special about my installation of Ansible. So I'm going to try to, I'm not going to do any more on the video. I've went pretty long kind of beating this dead horse, so to speak, but I'm going to have to try that just on my own time just to see if I can make that error happen. But I totally was not expecting the integer and string thing to behave the way it did. You can do a conditional for in, and that, let's see if I can make that happen here. So let's go back to conditionals, conditional tests, and we're going to define a variable. We're going to call this my var, and my var is going to contain a list. So red, blue, green. Okay, so change the name to show the var, and we're going to say my var includes red, blue, or green. And this is going to be when my var, let's see, I think, oh, what's the order? Oh, I think is in is what I need. So no, is that it? Yeah. Well, let's try it. Green is in my var. All right. Let's run our conditional test. Okay, so this clearly had a problem. Okay, now this time the actual error message helped us. So we have to encapsulate the entire thing in quotes. That makes sense. All right, so let's go back into our conditional. We'll put the whole thing in single quotes. I have to make a stylistic decision over which part I want to have in single quotes versus not. All right, so my var includes red, blue, or green. I'm going to try this one more time, and I'm going to get rid of the is part. I'm fairly sure is has to be there, but we'll see. I guess not. So I'll have to add that to my list of things to look up as far as whether or not you need to have is in or just in. All right, so we're going to change this to white, and this should not run. Yep. Now, I think there's an is not in as well. Let's try that real quick. Yep, so is in and is not in those are options for conditionals as well. So we have defined, there's an is not defined as well. So define is not defined, or maybe I'm getting that confused, but it accepts is in. So that'll be something that I want to look over. We've done string comparison. We've done integer comparison. We had that strange thing where Ansible somehow knew integer and string, which probably if I watch this video again, I'll realize whatever mistake I was making for that. And I think that's about it as far as some of the standard conditionals that you'll probably be faced with. So hopefully you enjoyed this video or found it useful. One use I think you can find out of this, and I know this has been useful for me as far as when I'm trying stuff and things don't work, that troubleshooting process can be a great teaching tool for you. First of all, it makes you more aware of what to expect error-wise, and then, you know, if you're under the pressure of you got to figure it out, it'll do that. Still, there are a couple things I didn't figure out, so I'm not going to consider this objective a complete fail, but there are some details that I want to have clarified before I go into the exam. Again, I want to thank returning subscribers for watching another video, as well as invite anyone who's watching, if you haven't subscribed yet, to click that subscribe button and ring the bell when you do. Also, feel free to leave comments. You can leave questions or praise or critique. I'll respond as I have both time and ability to do so. Thanks again for taking the time to watch, and I'll see you the next time.